Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and to another video. I am here with something a little bit different. I've never done this kind of video before, but I am here with a book recommendations video for you today. So as you can see from the title of this video, this is books that I would recommend that you read during the summer months. So we are now in June, it is now summer, and as you can, I don't know if you can tell, but I am wearing my new Summerween t-shirt for the new 2024 round. I'm absolutely obsessed with this tie-dye. It's so summery and I absolutely love it. So I thought that that would fit in for this video. But I do have 10 books that I have read that I would recommend would be perfect for summer reading. They are quite a good mix of stuff. So we have some fantasy, we have romance, we have some thrillers, there's some manhwa in there as well. And I also would love to mention some books that I'm very keen to get to myself during the summer. Most of them I don't own yet. I have ordered copies of them. They will be here soon, but so I will have to show a picture of them up on the screen, but I still wanted to mention them in this video. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get on with the recommendations video. Okay guys, so I've actually broken these up into categories. So the first category we're going to kick off with is summer romance. I always think romance, contemporary romance, is the best thing to read during the summer months. I'm definitely getting a lot more into my contemporary romance, and I have got 3 books that I want to mention to you, and I think that they are all very quick summer reads that I think would be perfect for summer. So to kick off, of course, I had to mention the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver, and the first book in that series is Flawless, and this is just one of the best romance series I've ever read. I've read the whole series. I'm currently hosting a read-along for the Chestnut Spring series if you're interested in joining us. We have just hit June, so we will be moving on to book 3, which is Powerless. We read Flawless in April, and we all had such a great time with it. I just wanted to say a massive thank you to every single person, including Brittany and Leandra, who are my co-hosts, that have joined us for the read-along. I can't believe how big it's taken off, and there's so many people involved doing it, and it's just been the most fun time. But Flawless, if you have never read this series, it is a cowboy romance that's set on a ranch that follows the Eaton family. They are family of brothers, and it's basically romances with the brothers and the main female characters. In this one, we are following Brett, who is a bull rider, and he basically gets involved in this PR disaster where his reputation's pretty much on the line, and his manager asks his daughter Summer, who's our female protagonist, to basically be his minder and babysit him and make sure that he doesn't get into any more trouble. And you can tell where it goes. It's forced proximity in here and very steamy romance scenes, and it's just one of those books that you definitely cannot put down. I read this the first time I read it in one sitting. I literally couldn't put it down. I gave it 4 stars the first time I read it, but upon reread for Chestnut Springs along, I bumped up to 5. I just absolutely love this series. Heartless book 2 is my all-time favourite in this series, and I've been having such a good time reading this series. But if you want something that's really quick, very steamy romance, family drama, like loads of different tropes that you will fall in love with. So we've got forced proximity, we've got friends to lovers, single dad romance, fake dating. It covers all bases, so there will be a book that you will absolutely love in this series, and I just can't shout about this series enough. It's one of my all-time favourites. So Flawless by Elsie Silver, I had to recommend for a book to read during the summer. Next up is, I would say, a pretty obvious choice. When I think of summer, this author definitely just pops into my head, and it's Emily Henry. Emily Henry very much more recently has become a well-known romance author, but I do know that she has got other works that she has, I think, some fantasy stuff in there as well, which I would definitely be interested in picking up. But for currently, she's become quite a big adult romance author, and I wanted to recommend one of her more recent ones, which is Happy Place by Emily Henry, and this is the gorgeous Afterlight edition, and it's just adorable. It's so cute. So I have only read Happy Place, and I've also read Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and I enjoyed them both. I didn't love People We Meet on Vacation, and I haven't tried Beach Read yet, but I would be inclined to give it a try. But Happy Place is one of her more recent releases, and it's basically fake dating between Harriet and Wyn. They are the perfect couple. They go together like bread and butter and gin and tonic. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Every year they take a holiday from their lives to drink far too much wine with their favourite people in the world. Except this year they are lying through their teeth because Harriet and Wyn broke up 6 months ago and they still haven't told anyone, but the cottage is for sale, so this is the last time that they'll all be here together. They can't bear to break their best friends' hearts, so they'll fake it for one more week. But how can you pretend to be in love and get away with it in front of the people who know you best? So it's a really fun time. This got 4 stars from me. I really enjoyed it, and I'm so excited to read Funny Story, which spoiler alert, will definitely be getting mentioned in this video. But Happy Place, I just think it's this cover just says summer to me. It is so summery. I mean, it's just so beautiful, this edition. Like, it's definitely one of those reads you could definitely sit by a pool and read, and it's just so beautiful. I absolutely love this edition, and I am definitely willing to give Beach Read a try. I have heard really good things about that one, but People We Meet on Vacation wasn't for me, unfortunately, which is fair. But Happy Place I really enjoyed. Gave it 4 stars, so this is definitely a good summer recommendation, I think. Next up is actually a graphic novel that I wanted to mention that I have read a few times, and each time I read it I absolutely adore it, and it is The Girl from the Sea by Molly Knox Ostertag. This is a really good graphic novel if you want to read it during Pride. It's sapphic. It follows a young girl who's got a lot of family trouble going on at home, and she ends up running away, and she ends up getting into difficulty in the sea, and she ends up getting saved by this kelpie, which is kind of like a seal mermaid kind of creature, and she ends up getting rescued by this thing. And then all of a sudden this girl shows up in this town, and they build up a relationship, and then she discovers that she is actually the kelpie that rescued her, and she's not sure about her own sexuality as well, the main character. Her friends don't know really anything about her, and it's just the most adorable thing. The artwork in this graphic novel is just absolutely beautiful. I would also recommend the Witch Boy series by Molly Knox Ostertag as well. That's a great graphic novel series if you want something a bit more spooky, but queer, sapphic as well. But yeah, The Girl from the Sea is a beautiful illustrated graphic novel. I would 100% recommend that. It's definitely perfect for the summer as well. Then my final romance recommendation is actually a manga that I read fairly recently, and it also has a Netflix show as well, a K-drama, which I would be interested in trying because I loved this manhwa so much, and it is A Business Proposal. And I mean, this artwork is just the most cutest thing. So we are basically following our main character Harry Shin, and she ends up going on this blind date with this guy from her co-worker she keeps getting forced to go on these blind dates, and she is sick of her parents trying to force marriage on her, and then she asks our main character Harrison to go on the date in her place and basically mess it up so her parents don't have to say anything. And she goes on this date, and it turns out that the guy that she's on the date with is actually the CEO of her company that she works for, and he is also getting pestered by his grandfather to marry as well. So he decides whoever shows up on this date, he is going to marry them, and it just goes from there, and it's just so adorable. Like, the art style in here is just absolutely beautiful. Let me try and find a panel that I can show you without being spoilery. Like, it's just so cute. Like, I just love the artwork in here. I'll try and find one of our main characters. So she basically gets all dolled up to go on this date, and she puts like a pink wig on and stuff, and it's like he doesn't really recognise her because he's like the CEO of her company, so doesn't really pay attention to a lot of people, and I think it just goes from there. So I'm so excited to continue on this. But if you want something that's really quick, cute contemporary romance, I would 100% recommend this manhwa series. It's just the most adorable thing. I think I saw it on Jodie from Vanilla Moon's channel. That's where I got the recommendation. Steph read it recently as well and really enjoyed it. So, and I think she's watched the K-drama herself actually, so I'm very interested in trying that. But yeah, A Business Proposal, I would definitely recommend this if you want a cute summer read. Okay guys, so my next category that I wanted to chat to you about is summer thrillers. I always think a thriller is great to read during the summer, especially when you're on holiday and you're sitting by a pool and you're just getting sucked into like a really gripping thriller. It's just the bit like my favourite time. You can read thrillers any time of the year. It doesn't have to just be for spooky season. So I want to kick off with what my actual best book of 2023, which is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This is a literary thriller. R.F. Kuang is the author of the Poppy War series, which is one of my all-time favourite series, and this is more of like a literary thriller, and we are basically following our main character, June, who is an author, and she is friends with Athena Liu, who is also an author, and Athena has a lot more success than June does. And at the start of the book, this isn't a spoiler, so Athena shows June her newest manuscript for an upcoming book that she's planning to release, and Athena actually dies at the beginning of the book. She ends up choking on I can't remember what it is, like a pretzel or a crisp or something. I can't remember what it is, but she ends up choking and dying before the ambulance gets there. And June decides, because she has seen Athena's manuscript, to basically take Athena's manuscript and make edits to it and publish it as her own work. And June is a white woman and Athena is Asian, so June decides to change her name to Juniper Song to make her appear more Asian, hence the term Yellowface. And it just goes from there, and the decisions that June makes in this book, you cannot believe what you're reading, and it's just like, you really struggle to root for June at times, because you're like, what are you doing? Like, this is so wrong. And it definitely takes a hard look at the publishing industry. I think R.F. Kuang does a really, really good job at highlighting racism in publishing, like social media and reviewers, and like people are starting to get a bit sus about June writing this book. And the book is about Asian war history, I believe. I actually can't remember. Yeah, when Athena dies in a freak accident, June steals her unpublished manuscript and publishes it as her own under the ambiguous name Juniper Song. But as evidence threatens June's stolen success, she discovers exactly how far she will go to keep what she thinks she deserves. What happens next is entirely everybody's fault. So that's basically the plot of the book, and it's just, I read this in a day and gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. And this is the Illumicrate edition, I want to say, and it actually has the title of the book on the naked hardback, which I think is so cool, and like these really cool suede edges. So Yellowface, I would 100% recommend if you want something that's going to get you thinking and is really fast paced, and you have a character that you really can't root for, but there's a tiny smidge of you that kind of does feel a little bit sorry for, just a tiny smidge. But yeah, Yellowface, I would definitely recommend it as a really good summer thriller. Next up is another thriller that I think I haven't heard a lot of people talking about recently, but I watched Barb do a reading vlog for this book. I'll leave a link to it down in the box down below. But she read The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I'll put a picture of it here. Taylor Adams also wrote No Exit, which I also read and really enjoyed. And this book is a wild ride. I cannot tell you. 5-star read for me. It was so good and intense, and it was just one of the best thrillers I've ever read. So we're following our main character, who is reading one of her favourite author's brand new books, and she ends up giving it a 1-star rating. And the author decides to come back to her and asks her very nicely to take down the review because it'll impact on his financial gain from the book, and it's not really great to have a 1-star review on my book. But our main character decides not to take it down and leaves the review on there. And then the author decides to come back to our main character with a lot of threatening kind of demands to take down the review, and she just flat out refuses to take it down. She's house sitting for a friend, and it's like an isolated setting. She's in this house on her own, and then she feels like somebody's watching her. And it turns out that this author has really come in for our main character, and it just goes, I can't really tell you anything about it because that would be spoilery. It is just one of the most like intense thrillers I've ever read in my life. I did not see the twist coming at all, and it really, as a person that reads books, it definitely would perked me up a little bit to think that a reviewer would be coming for me because I posted a bad review. And it's definitely quite current, I would say. I mean, I've never ever experienced like someone coming for me posting a bad review, or I haven't really heard of anyone that has experienced that, but I know it probably has happened in the book kind of tube community. But overall, I really enjoyed this. So it's definitely one of those ones you could definitely read in one sitting. It will definitely keep you guessing. I would also recommend No Exit as well, by the same author. That was really good as well, and I gave that one 5 stars. Okay guys, and my final thriller recommendation that I wanted to mention is definitely an oldie, but a really good one. I would also recommend Verity by Colleen Hoover. Now, I know Colleen Hoover is definitely a very problematic author, but Verity, one of like her best books, I would say. It was just insane. A lot of trigger warnings for this book, so do be wary of the triggers going into this one. But Verity, it was just a wild ride. So from what I remember, it's been a little while since I've read it, but we follow our main character who is an author, and she ends up meeting this guy through her publishing house, who is, his wife has ended up in a really, really bad accident. His wife is also a famous author who was in the middle of writing a final book in a series, if I remember correctly, but she's ended up in this accident and is unable to complete the book. So her husband has asked our main character if she would consider coming to live in their house to write the final book on behalf of his wife. And so our main character agrees, and she goes. They have this husband and the wife have a young child, and our main character ends up going through the author's like notes and things like that to find out information about the book, and then she ends up finding this journal, and she ends up reading this journal, and there's a lot of secrets that get revealed about the husband and his wife, and it is just the most insane, wild time. Again, do check your trigger warnings, because there are quite a lot of trigger warnings. It is quite heavy, but it's definitely worth it in the end. The twists, and it's just the shocking moments. It is so good. Like, I think it would definitely be a really good like TV drama, like visually to see it. I just think it would be so good. So definitely Verity by Colleen Hoover. It's an oldie but a goodie, but I absolutely loved it the first time I read it, and I gave it 5 stars. It was so good. Okay guys, and my final category I wanted to mention in this video is some fantasy recommendations. I read fantasy all year round, so of course I could not mention some fantasy books to read during the summer. So first off, I wanted to mention a book that I read. When did I read this? I think it was ever one of the first Greek mythology books I ever read. I do count Greek mythology as fantasy because it is like fantasy kind of stories, but one of the best Greek mythology books I've ever read is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. It's an oldie but a goodie. This book is an absolute tearjerker. I would definitely get your tissues for this one. It's definitely, I think, a good place to start if you wanted to try and get into Greek mythology, because it's not too complicated. We're basically following Achilles and Patroclus. We start off with them being young boys becoming friends. It's obviously set against the Trojan War, and if you know your Greek mythology history, you know what happens to Achilles in the Trojan War, and it's just the most beautiful written story I've ever read. It's an absolute tearjerker, and it's just the relationship between Achilles and Patroclus is just so beautiful. Perfect for Pride Month. It's obviously queer. If you wanted to do it for Amazing Readathon, it would be perfect, or just at any time of year really, but if you wanted to do some queer books in June for Pride, it's definitely a great option. I absolutely love this book, and I'm desperate to read of it. I want to try and get a really nice edition of it to match my Circe edition that I've got, that's also by Madeline Miller as well. She's definitely one of my favourite Greek myths writers. Her writing is just so beautiful, and it's definitely very lyrical but easy to understand, I would say. So Song of Achilles I would definitely recommend for a really good summer read. Okay guys, I actually have 2 books to show you that are by the same author, who is Shannon Chakraborty, or S.A. Chakraborty. I wanted to mention both of these books because I absolutely adore the Daevabad trilogy series, and also the other book that Shannon Chakraborty's come out with. So I wanted to recommend The City of Brass, which is the first book in the Daevabad trilogy, and these are the Fairy Loot editions. I managed to get on eBay and they are absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love them. And there's something under the dust jacket. But if you want something that's like Aladdin vibes, like 1001 Nights kind of vibes, I would definitely recommend this series. It is so good. So we are basically it's been a while since I've read this. I definitely enjoyed the read of this one. So we're set in Cairo and we're following our main character who is a thief, and she ends up summoning this jinn who ends up Nari, who is our main character, yep, she's a thief, and she ends up summoning this jinn, and many wish their lives could be filled with such wonder, but not Nari. She knows the trade she uses to get by are just tricks and sleight of hand. There's nothing magical about them. She only wishes to one day leave Cairo, but as the saying goes, be careful what you wish for, and that's kind of all I can tell you about it. She ends up getting taken to the city of Daevabad, and it just goes from there. It is one of the best series I've ever read in my life, and it's just so good, and I'm definitely due to read of the series 100%, so I would definitely recommend this for a really good summer fantasy read. And on the same vein as the Daevabad trilogy, I have to recommend you The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi. This is set in the same world as the Daevabad trilogy, but we're following pirates in this one, which is, I definitely think, perfect for summer. Stuff that's set on the water, I think is perfect for summer. So we're following our main character, Amina al-Sirafi, who is an older woman, and she was one of the greatest pirates of her time. And she's now semi-retired. She has a family, a daughter to look after, and she ends up getting this opportunity to go and rescue a daughter or a granddaughter, I can't remember, of one of her former crewmates, and she will get a handsome reward for it. And she decides to go back out on the sea again, get her whole crew back together, and it's just the pirate adventure I just think is perfect for the summertime. So I would definitely recommend Amina al-Sirafi if you want something that's like pirate vibes. And this is the Fairy Loot edition, which is just absolutely beautiful, and this just speaks like summer to me, like gold foiling, anything like that. It's just, it's one of the most beautiful books I've ever owned in my life. It's so pretty. So yeah, I would definitely recommend both of those books if you want a really good summer pirate fantasy and magic and like Aladdin vibes, 100%. Okay guys, and my final summer recommendation that I had to put on this list. This author is my auto-buy author. I absolutely love her books. I always recommend them no matter what season it's in, but definitely this one I think you could definitely read in summer, and it is the 5th book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J Maas. So this one is A Court of Silver Flames. It is a chunker, but it's fantasy romance done so well. This is following Nesta, who is the sister of Feyre from the original trilogy from A Court of Thorns and Roses, and this is her love story between her and Cassian, who is part of the Inner Circle, and this romance is just chef's kiss. It is incredible. The way that Sarah J Maas writes about trauma, mental health in here, it is just done so well with Nessa anyway. Nessa's going through a lot of stuff, especially from the final book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. Also, I won't give any spoilers if you haven't read this yet, but she does go through a lot of trauma, which has resulted in her drinking a lot and sleeping around, and Freya decides to make her stay in the House of Wind, which was where the Inner Circle were staying, and Cassian is to go with her, and she has to train with Cassian, and it's very enemies to lovers. They do not get on. There has been little moments between them, but nothing has really come to anything. But in this one, it's explored so much more. The tension between them is just incredible, and the romance, once it gets going, Cassian is definitely, like, I mean, I am a Rhys girly, but Cassian for me is just, oh, so good. He's definitely my favourite character in the Inner Circle for sure. This is just incredible, like, found friendship in here, like sisterhood and female friendship in here. It's just done so well, and you will not want to put this book down. I mean, the whole ACOTAR series in general I would recommend as a summary, but this book in particular is just, if you want really good fantasy romance, there are a lot of spicy scenes in here, so if you aren't a fan of steamy scenes, I would maybe stay clear of this, but it's just written so well that you will not want to put this book down. And family, female friendship, trauma, mental health, and Nesta as a character. She was definitely a character I hated in the first 3 books, but this book you really, really warmed her, and she goes through so much and comes out the other side of it, and it's just incredible. So I had to put A Court of Silver Flames on this list. I mean, it is a chunker, but it's so worth it. The payoff is just amazing, chef's kiss. So that is my final recommendation for summer reads. Okay guys, so I wanted to mention 5 books that I'm very, very keen on to get to during the summer months. And first off, I wanted to kick off with a book that I'm aiming to read for in June for Amazing Readathon. It's Sapphic Witches, and it's definitely giving me summer vibes, and it is The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. I got this in the May Fairy Loot box, and this just screams summer to me. It is so adorable, this edition, and I absolutely love it. Like, this just screams summer to me. Like, oh, it's so beautiful. I absolutely love it. And the Nectar bag looks like this with the honey pot. It's so gorgeous, this edition. And this has Sapphic Witches, which definitely gets me very, very excited. So we're following Marigold Claude. She gets sent away to live in this cottage and to become the next Honey Witch. And Honey Witches are forbidden to fall in love. That's the kind of curse of the job. And we meet Lottie Burke, who is a skeptic who doesn't believe in magic, and Marigold meets her and she's instantly attracted to her and tries to show her how magic is real and all that kind of vibe. And then I think some dark magic starts to threaten Marigold's home. And and when darker magic awakens and threatens to destroy her home, she must fight for much more than her new home, and at the risk of losing her magic and her heart. So it just sounds amazing, and I haven't read any reviews for this, so it's only just come out, but I am so excited, and this edition is just so beautiful. I'm obsessed, absolutely obsessed. Next up is another Emily Henry. I think I briefly mentioned it before. It is her brand new release, which is Funny Story. And I also got the Afterlight edition to match my happy place. It's so cute and very, very summery. Like, this is just screaming summer vibes. Like, oh, so beautiful. I think in this one it's fake dating again, I believe. Let me see what the synopsis says. Daphne always loved the way Peter told their story. That is until it became the prologue to his actual love story with his childhood bestie Petra, which is how Daphne ended up rooming with her total opposite and the only person who could possibly understand her predicament, Petra's ex Miles. As expected, it's not a match made in heaven. That is until one night, while tossing back tequilas, they form a plan. And if it involves posting deliberately misleading photos of their adventures together, well, who could blame them? But that's all just for show, of course, because there's no way Daphne would actually start her new chapter by falling in love with her ex-fiance's new fiance's ex, right? So it just sounds really, really fun. And I am predicting 5 stars for this one. I've given the other Emily Henry books I've read 4 stars, and I think potentially this one could be a 5. Fingers crossed. But I am really, really excited, and it just looks the most perfect summer read. I'm so excited for it. Okay, next up is a thriller that I am really, really keen to get to. I did briefly start this towards, I think in April, but I put it down because I ended up going into a bit of a slump and I haven't really picked back up again, so I'm going to restart it. But it is Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. This is only my second Riley Sager. I've only read the only one left by Riley Sager, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I gave it 5 stars. So this is his brand new release. I don't think it's come out yet, or I think it's just come out. 18th of June 2024, so it's coming out soon. So I do want to try and get to it, and I think in this one we're following a man must contend with the long ago disappearance of his childhood best friends and the dark secrets lurking just beyond the safe confines of his picture perfect neighbourhood. yeah, so that's kind of really all I want to know about it, and I'm assuming there'll be a lot of twists and turns and secrets. It's kind of similar to The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I know he does do quite a lot of good twists. So yeah, I am really, really keen to get to that one as well. Next up is another summer romance by another very, very popular author that I've read from previously, who is Abby Jimenez. I've read Part of Your World and Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and I gave them both 5 stars. I absolutely love them. So this is her brand new release, and I have heard really, really good things about this one, and it is just for the summer. This cover just screams summer to me. It is absolutely gorgeous, and I don't know a lot about this one. It says on the synopsis here, Justin has a curse, and thanks to a Reddit thread, it's now all over the internet. Every woman he dates goes on to find their soulmate. The second they break up. When a woman slides into his DMs with the same problem, they come up with a plan. They'll date each other and break up. Their curses will cancel each other out, and they'll both go on to find the love of their lives. It's a bonkers idea, and it just might work. Emma hasn't planned that her next assignment as a travelling nurse would be in Minnesota, but she and her best friend agree that dating Justin is too good of an opportunity to pass up, especially when they get to rent an adorable cottage on a private island on the Lake Minnetonka. It's supposed to be a quick fling, just for the summer, but when Emma's toxic mother shows up and Justin has to assume guardianship of his 3 siblings, they're suddenly navigating a lot more than they expected, including catching real feelings for each other. What if this time fate has actually brought the perfect pair together? So it sounds amazing. It really, really does, and I'm so excited for this one. So fingers crossed this will be another 5-star read for me by Abby Jimenez, because I loved her other 2 books. So I'm definitely aiming to get to this one in during the summertime. Okay guys, and my final book pick that I'm very, very keen to get on to read during the summer is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This was one of his secret projects that came out last year, I think I want to say, and it sounds really up my street. The only Brandon Sanderson I've read is actually The Final Empire, book 1 in the Mistborn series, and that's all I've read. So I'm very, very new to Brandon Sanderson, so I think this will probably be a really good place for me to start. And this is cozy fantasy, which I think is definitely it doesn't sound like it's perfect for the summer, but I love to read fantasy like all year round, so this sounds really up my street. So it says on the synopsis here, the only life Tress has known on her island home is an emerald green ocean, has been a simple one, with the simple pleasures of collecting cups brought by sailors from faraway lands and listening to stories told by her friend Charlie. But when her father takes him on a voyage to find a bride and disaster strikes, Tress must stow away on a ship and seek the sorceress of the deadly midnight sea. Amid the spore oceans where pirates abound, can Tress leave her simple life behind and make her own place sailing a sea where a single drop of water can mean instant death? So it definitely sounds really summery, like being set on the water, that kind of vibe. It's definitely summer for me. So those are the books that I'm very, very keen to get on my summer TBR, and I'm very, very excited for all those books. Okay guys, so that is my summer recommendations video, and I really, really hope you enjoyed it. Do leave me a sun emoji in the comments if you watched the video but you didn't have anything to say. Just leave something, an emoji that says summer. And if you have any summer recommendations yourself, do pop them down in the comments. I'm always keen to get some summer recommendations, and let me know what your reading plans are for the summer. What you like to read during the summer? Do you like to read romance? Do you like to read fantasy or thrillers or anything really? But yeah, if you like this video, give me a like and subscribe. I would really, really appreciate it. And I'll see you all in my next video very, very soon. Bye guys.